morning, Broncos, and welcome to this edition of Inside Bronco Sports. I'm Brooke Niver.
And I'm Taylor McKittrick. Let's get right into it, starting off with UCO soccer.
With spring season wrapped up, the Broncos have big expectations for this summer and upcoming fall season. The team will have a full roster this fall with 21 returners and 9 incoming freshmen. Head coach Mike Cook provided us with this statement and said, quote, "We are very excited about the upcoming season. We have a great core of returning players with a lot of experience and are adding some talented incoming freshmen. Looking forward to playing an exciting style of soccer and having another successful year. The goal every year is to win the MIAA championship. We're excited at the prospect of meshing the experienced returning players with new incoming players and continuing the tradition of excellence we have established in our program."
And moving on to tennis, the Lady Broncos advanced to 10-9 on the season after defeating Newman University 6-1 in Wichita last Sunday. The team is looking to extend their 2-game win streak into the postseason this Friday with a game against Northeastern State in Tahlequah at 4 p.m.
Next up is America's pastime. The Central baseball team is currently 28-13 after losing this past weekend to Northwest Missouri. The Broncos lost 2 games out of the 3-game series, catching their only dub of the weekend on Senior Day. Sunday was actually the first time all season that Central went into extra innings. We have 2 players from the team who will be coming into the studio in just a little bit, but for now let's go over to our very own Peyton Scott to check out the latest standings and the weather for the upcoming weekend matchups. Peyton?
Bronco baseball is currently sitting at 5th in the MIAA conference standings with a little less than 2 weeks left in the regular season. Central has an opportunity to improve on its spot in the standings before the conference tournament starts when it faces Central Missouri, which is tied for first in the MIAA. That 3-game series takes place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Warrensburg, Missouri. Let's now take a look at the weather for those games in Missouri. It's shaping up to be a chilly one on Friday, partially cloudy with a slight chance of showers and a high of 64 degrees. On Saturday, partially cloudy with a high of 51. On Sunday, it will be warm a little back up with a high of 58. On to the tennis court, let's look at the MIAA standings for the women's tennis team. The Bronco tennis team finished 5th in the MIAA standings with a 5-3 record on the season. They will be the 5th seed in the MIAA Conference Championship Tournament this weekend in Edmond. UCO will be competing against Northeastern State for the first match of the tournament on Friday. If the Broncos win that, they will then compete against Northwest Missouri in the semifinals at 10 a.m. on Saturday. The championships will begin on Sunday at 10 a.m. Let's take a look. It will be a cloudy and wet weekend for the MIAA championships taking place at Bronco Courts. On Friday, partially cloudy with a 25% chance of showers and a high of 71 degrees. On Saturday, a high of 62 degrees. On Sunday, there is a 40% chance of rain in the morning when the championships are scheduled to be played. Now back to Brooke and Taylor and our studio guests.
Thank you, Peyton, for that update. Now, joining us live for an in-studio interview is Jaden Parsons and Camden Thrillkill from the baseball team. Thank you guys for joining us today. So, Jaden, we're going to start off with you. What are the expectations like this year compared to last year's team?
I mean, the expectations are kind of always the same. Like, we want to make it to the playoffs, number one, and then hopefully keep going once we get to the playoffs, win as many games, hopefully win a conference, and then after that, regional, super regional, and always trying to make the World Series. That's our goals every year. It should never change, and kind of every year is the same.
So, Camden, you're a transfer from Dodge City, correct? So, what is the experience like at UCO, and what makes it different from your last school?
I would say we get treated a little better. As far as funding goes, definitely. Facilities are nicer, but on the competing end of the game definitely speeds up a little bit on you. The pitchers are sharper, the catchers are better, people are bigger, stronger, and I would say that's probably the biggest.
Is there anything in the team dynamic that makes it different? I know from a softball standpoint, my team is like my family. Do you feel more of a family-based atmosphere here?
So I'd say a lot of us are junior college kids. I know Jaden is as well. So the camaraderie is really strong there because we all kind of sort of come from the same background, and we all stay like a pretty close-knit group.
That's awesome.
So, Jaden, going back to you. So you were here last year. You guys lost a lot of seniors last year on that team. So how are you guys adjusting this year, filling those spots, and how is that going for you?
Kind of compared to last year, this year we have more returning like hitters. So like our offense and defense, we have a lot more of like a senior presence. And then obviously we have some good pitchers this year, but we lost a lot of like key roles last year, and we've been fortunate enough to have some big time pitchers like come out of the bullpen and step in and fill those roles. But that's kind of the main difference, that we have more of like a senior presence in our lineup, guys that have played last year, played in the playoffs last year, and we're able to have those guys this year.
Yeah, and speaking of offense, you're hitting 368 on the season. How do you take that into postseason? And like, what's your mindset going up to the plate?
I mean, going into the postseason, we still got a couple weeks left, obviously, before we get there. But going into the postseason, like, you start 0-0. It's a new season, basically. You got to trust what's gotten you to where you are, and kind of hopefully it works out for the best. But obviously, not changing anything, not trying to do too much, and just playing with what you got there.
So, Camden, we had some pretty, basic questions about baseball, but I just wanted to know if you guys have any rituals, or you personally, do you have any like pregame songs you listen to? I know the softball team plays hockey before every game. Is there anything that you guys do?
We definitely get down with some hack.
Oh, yeah.
We play some hack. But we don't really have too many rituals. We go through the normal pregame, BP, and then we get Big Noah Olson, and maybe he'll give us a speech, something like that. But no, I wouldn't say we're too superstitious about anything like that. We just kind of show up, we're ready to go, have a good mindset, and stay prepared, and that's pretty much it.
So other than playing at home, this is another fun question, but obviously you would want to play at home. But if you're going on the road, what's your favorite stadium to play at?
Oh, I mean, only being here for 2 years, I've only played in half the stadiums. But I mean, I've heard where we're going this week. Central Missouri is pretty nice. I like Pittsfield is really cool, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, obviously we like playing here. It's fun to be at your home field, but we'll see. I mean, wherever you go, it's just same team, just different field. But I think I really like Pitt. That was one of my favorite places to play at.
So my last question for y'all is, I know on road games I always have to have something to eat on the bus, whether it be like a candy or like Cheez-Its. So what's your guys' favorite like travel snack?
Peanut M&Ms. The way to go all the time. Peanut M&Ms and a Red Bull.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never seen Camden on the bus or at the locker room without a apricot Red Bull.
I'm snacking too.
But yeah, myself, I'd say probably just some type of caffeine, coffee. Usually gets the job done.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you guys for joining us today. And when we return, we'll be taking an in-studio interview with Tatum Long from the softball team, and Emma Birch fills us in with all things on golf and track. All this and more after the break. Stay tuned, Broncos. Welcome back, Broncos. Let's get back into it with some UCO softball. The ladies went 3-1 this past weekend, sweeping the number 8 team in the nation, Rogers State, for a doubleheader in Claremore. One of the key players for the Broncos, Tatum Long, currently has a 302 batting average and 30 RBIs on the season. Also, within the past month, she has been named the MIAA Player Hitter of the Week. Now let's send it over to Brooke, who will be talking with Tatum in studio about how the UCO softball season is going. Brooke?
Thanks, Taylor. I'm here with Tatum, like she said, and she's one of my closest friends on the team, so I'm so excited that she's here with us today. Like she said, she was named MIAA Hitter of the Week this past month, and I just want to know what it's like being a Bronco and going out on the field and having that target on your back, because we are ranked as number 5 in the country. So I just wanted to know your viewpoint on that.
I think we definitely do have a target on our backs, just because like when some teams play us, like maybe like they're not ranked or they're 25-24, they just really don't have anything to lose losing to us. They almost expect to. And so it's like when we're playing, like, yes, we're supposed to win, but it's like we just have more people want to beat us being ranked as high as we are, because we've been top 10 all year, and it makes it a little bit harder and something more to work for.
So we have 8 more home games. What has been the big motivation for this team throughout the whole season?
I think that, as you know, our team's been through the ringer with quite a few things that we've been through together, and I think that's really the biggest motivation for the rest of the season is just that we're really, every time something maybe negative happens, the coaches, us girls, even our parents, we really just band together, and it just it's like everything that's happened, it's like we're still gonna fight, we're gonna do whatever we can to make sure that it happens, not for ourselves as individuals, but just as me, I'm doing it for you and everybody else in the team, and the coaches are doing it for us, and vice versa.
Postseason is approaching. So what is your mentality going into postseason?
I've been in a bit of a slump lately, and going up to the plate, I'm just really just trying to think do what you can, and it'll happen. It's gonna happen regardless. And just do whatever I can to make sure that I am helping my team in any way possible, whether that's maybe I get out, but it's a sacrifice ball and somebody scores, or anything like that.
So with the adjustments that have happened within the team within the past week, I know you've had to step into the role as being a first baseman. You're going back and forth about being a DP and first base, and now you're kind of taking on that role as a starting first baseman. What does that mean for you? Because I know you're a transfer, kind of stepping into new shoes.
I just think it's been a pretty consistent either starting at DP or starting at first, usually first game DP, second game first base. But I think going from I'm there every day at practice. I am willing to do whatever I need to do to help this team, whether that's only being the DP, whether that's only being at first. And I think based on the things that have happened in the last couple of weeks, if that's what they need from me, then I'm going to do it.
Well, thanks, Tatum, for joining me today in the studio. I'm going to toss it over to Emma to talk about our women's golf team.
Thanks, Brooke. And now switching gears to UCO women's golf. The ladies wrapped up their regular season, finishing at 10th at Missouri Southern's Dr. Virginia Lass Classic at Eagle Creek Golf Club in Joplin, Missouri last weekend. Micah Ramos and Emma Shelley led Central Oklahoma as they both tied for 20th in the individual standings with a 3-round total of 241 respectively. The Broncos will return to Joplin in 2 weeks for the 2023 MIAA Women's Golf Championship, where the final and only standings up for the season will be released. Good luck, ladies. And now moving on to men's team. Evan Griffith and Caleb Kimmel had top 10 individual finishes that led Central Oklahoma to a 3rd place showing at the Mule Tournament in Warrensburg, Missouri. Griffith finished with a 3-round total of 211, taking 5th place, while Kimmel finished with a final round of 74, tying him for 9th. Head coach Derek Thompson said, quote, "We didn't play our best, but I like the way the guys competed," end quote. That was a final tournament of the regular season for the Broncos. They will head to Boulevard, Missouri and the beautiful Silo Ridge Golf Club this week for the MIAA Championships. And now on to track, where Central competed at the Sooner Invitational this past weekend, finishing with 4 new personal records. Those new records are Tatum Robertson for shot put, Gracie Sanders in the 1500, and Madison Ford and Talon Ben in the pole vault. The Broncos will travel to Langston on Saturday to compete against the Lions, then on to Winfield, Kansas before the MIAA Championship May 5th in Jefferson, Missouri. Now let's toss it over to Eden for the last standings and weather updates for these matchups. Eden?
Thanks, Emma. Let's take a look at the current MIAA standings for men's and women's golf, as well as the softball team. With the season finished in the MIAA Championships in swing, the men's golf team finished the regular season in 4th place with 19 points. Northeastern State took the regular season title, only beating the Broncos by 7 points. Bennett Baldwin was the only Cho to finish in the MIAA top 5, finishing number 2 in individuals with 30 points. Taking a look at the weather in Boulevard, Missouri, where the tournament is currently taking place, the weather is currently 71 degrees with 20 to 30 mile-per-hour winds. Next Monday, the 24th, the women's golf team travels to Joplin, Missouri for their tournament. Now, the women's golf team doesn't necessarily have rankings, so instead we're going to take a look at the weather for their tournament. If you happen to be in Joplin the 24th through the 26th, it will be a very beautiful with a high of 62 on Monday, 63 on Tuesday, and 66 on Wednesday. And still pretty windy, but nothing really comparable to the crazy Oklahoma wind we have. And softball has been a force to be reckoned with. They have been consistently in the top 5 nationally since the beginning of the season. They are currently ranked 5th in the nation according to the NFCA Week 10 coaches poll. They're ranked 1st in the Central region and 2nd in the MIAA behind Missouri Southern, who they haven't played yet, but I personally think the Lions should be sweating because the Chos are hungry for that number 1 spot. Their next 2 home games are this Friday, and it will be a beautiful 67 degrees. Good luck, Lady Broncos. That's all from me. Back to Taylor and Brooke.
Thanks, Eden. When we return, we have an update on the Thunder and some more special guests join us in the studio. Keep it here.
And we're back to talk about spring football. The Broncos are coming off a 6-5 season this past year, which was Central's first winning season since the 2018 campaign. UCO is wrapping up its spring practice next Friday, April 28th, with its annual spring game at Chad Richardson Stadium. The game will start at 7 p.m. and will be free to the public, so get out there and support your Broncos.
Now let's take some time to talk about our very own rowing team. The team took first place in Varsity 4+ and second in Varsity 8+ in New Jersey at the Net Cup Regatta Grand Final. Our own Peyton Scott sits down with UCO rower Keena Swoosh and coxswain Emily Overholt to talk about their recent success in UCO's rowing's proud program tradition. Let's take a look.
Thank you. I'm here with Keena Swoosh and Emily Overholt, both juniors, a rower and a coxswain. How you guys doing?
Good. Good. How about you?
Good. Can you guys just, start by, just telling how you got into rowing, and why you guys, chose UCO?
I joined rowing in high school. I joined officially on the team in high school. But I started learning in about middle school. My sister also did rowing, so I kind of followed in her footsteps. When I realized that there was a role that I could do, as a little person, the role of a coxswain, you need to be small. So it was just kind of something that was perfect for me. So yeah, my first ever season was in 8th grade, and then I joined our high school team as well.
I was a basketball player my whole life, did basketball since I was out of the womb, basically. Wanted to go for basketball, but my height kind of made that impossible to go as a strong person. So my mom thought of rowing, so I tried it my sophomore year of high school, loved it, continued it. Now here I am in college as a UCO rower, so.
And UCO rowing has a, very good winning tradition here at UCO, and you guys are ranked currently at, number 3. Kind of tell us how that feels to be part of, such a good tradition and, the pressures of being number 3 in the nation.
I think it's a lot to think about, but I feel like they set a good standard. The seniors, my freshman year, set a really good standard, and I really want to keep that going and keep that legacy going. So I'm really just, every day I think about, I want to keep going and keep doing it. I want to be better, I want to be better, I want to be number 1, Mm-hmm. So that just motivates me every morning to do that, and so hopefully we can continue to do that.
And I think it also comes with realizing that tradition and saying, whether we've had a good year or not, realizing that every day we do come together as a team and we're like, this is our end goal, and figure out how we can work together and be that teammate aspect is really, I think, what's been really important for us this year.
Mm-hmm. And, you guys just had a recent win at the FIRA Championships. What does that do for you guys, coming into this next competition and, kind of just describe that win to us?
I feel like people kind of put us down of last year because we got 5th last year, and so they're like, oh, they're not as good this year, but we've been working really, really hard to get back at it, and so winning FIRAs was eye-opening to other teams. They're like, oh crap, they're back, just like wanting to keep pushing that ranking up and showing other teams that we can do this. So,
kind of like Keena was saying, I think when we came to FIRAs, people were kind of like, oh, it's just UCO, they got 5th last year, but coming back and winning made us really think okay, yeah, we are back. We've been working hard, and the work that we've been putting in this semester and in the fall has paid off. And I mean, yeah, we can't boast on it because, you know, we have to see what we can do in the future. But it really, I think, set us up to realizing, okay, we're good. We're on the right track. So let's see what we can keep doing in the future.
And, you know, you described, you know, being a coxswain, you know, and for some of our viewers out there, they might not know, you know, what, you know, goes into that. Could you kind of, you know, tell us what goes into your position?
So coxswain is the person that sits in an 8 boat in the stern of the boat, or in a 4 boat, it's the bow of the boat. And, you know, in my case, in the 8 boat, I face the rowers, and I'm their eyes and ears. I see what they're doing. My goal is to make their changes easier and to see, hey, if, you know, Keena's not rowing her stroke correctly, how can I help her fix it? And, you know, in a race, I am the one yelling at them, telling them, hey, we've got a boat right next to us. How are we going to walk away? They always call like the coxswain, in a way, like the second hand of the coach, because I have to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, you know, and how to adapt it to the rowers. And every boat is different, so I have to learn every boat. And it's not all just, I don't just say row, row, you know, like a lot of people might think. But to sit in that seat and be able to, I have to know everything about rowing without
Like being a quarterback, yeah.
without having had to actually do it. It's so fun, and it is a lot mentally on myself oftentimes. But it's fun to be a part of a team who, I guess, sees it. And, you know, there could be very much times where a rower could be like, oh, like, you don't work out with us, you don't do this, you don't put in the hard work like we do. But that's not how our team sees it. We all are one team, and, you know, they see the work that the coxswains have to put into, and I see the work that they have to put in, and it really helps us build as a team.
And Keena, could you, you know, describe to us, you know, what being a rower is, you know, how going about that is?
People think rowing's easy. When I say rowing, they're like, rowing? I'm like, no, but close. So it's really a mental game, honestly, because it's not like any other sport where you go and stop. It's 2,000 meters as fast as you can. You can't stop or else you lose, basically. So it's just that mental game, because obviously you train to be fit, and you just have to trust your fitness at that point and just work through it. So,
you know, what kind of sets your guys' team apart, you know, when it comes to, you know, success? You know, we talked about you coming up on, you know, these competitions and, you know, winning fairs and everything. So what sets you guys, you know, you feel like sets you guys, you know, apart from the other teams out in competition?
I think it's the comeback that we want. And, you know, teams can come off of, you know, not doing well, from doing well to not doing well to continuing that. But I think we've all gotten the perspective of, no, we want to come back, and we want to show that we're ready, and, you know, prove people wrong that might think that we're not as good as we used to be. And, you know, our freshman year, we lost a lot of strong girls, and it's about focusing in on how to row and how to row well, and doing it as a team, and building, especially for us this year, is building our team chemistry back.
Thank you guys for coming in the studio. Best of luck to you guys for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Peyton, and congrats, ladies, on another impressive showing in New Jersey this past weekend. And now let's look ahead. The Chos are currently ranked #1 in the West region in the varsity 8, 4, and team categories, and they're ranked 3rd overall according to the CRCA coaches poll, trailing behind Mercyhurst and Cal Poly Humboldt. Next weekend, they travel to the West Coast and compete in the WIRA Championships in sunny Sacramento, California. Weather-wise, in Sacktown, it will be 78 degrees on Saturday and 77 on Sunday with minimal winds. That's all from me. Back to you all at the desk.
Thanks, Eden. And lastly, let's check in on some Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder needed to win 2 games on the road in the play-in tournament to advance. The Thunder started the play-in tournament with a huge win at New Orleans, beating the Pelicans 123-118. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 32 points on 50% shooting. while Josh Giddey and Lou Dort had season highs in scoring with 31 and 27 points. Brandon Ingram added 30 points for the Pelicans, but it wasn't enough as the Thunder knocked them out of the playoff race. However, the next game would not be as kind to the Thunder as they headed to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves for their second play-in game in 3 days. It was a close game until halftime, but that's when the T-Wolves took over. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finished with a game high of 22 points after taking a massive elbow to the face in the third quarter. Minnesota won this one, going away with 120-95, ending a surprising season for the Thunder and giving OKC fans something to be excited about for next season. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Tune in next week for more Bronco sports coverage. But for now, I'm Brooke Niver.
And I'm Taylor McKittrick. We'll see you next time. Roll Chos.